We're here today to talk about Green Carnation. Unless you're living under a rock, you're not aware of, but there's a new album out. By the time you're watching this, the album is out, Dark Poem Part 2. First of all, go check out Dark Poem Part 1. That was my favorite album of the year for 2025. Hands down, the moment I heard that record, I knew that was going to be my #1 album of the year. It was that good. So I was really excited to see what you guys had in store for us with Part 2. Very different from Part 1, which is good because you don't want Part 2 to be Part 1. You want them to be separate. But a very different take, a take that I really enjoyed as well. Such a beautiful record. I love everything about the album. So honestly, I don't even know where to start. I think you guys are musical geniuses, by the way. You guys keep continuing making incredible music after incredible music. So how has been the process for you when it comes to Part 2?
Yeah, because of the great reception after releasing Part 1, you're always, we always knew that Part 2 was going to be different. And you never kind of know how people are going to react to that, because we are like human beings. Like, if you like something, we want more of the same sometimes when it comes to food and when it comes to everything. So I was like quite eager to see how the first reactions on Part 2. And we've already had quite a lot of reviews, and they're actually even better than Part 1, which I wouldn't say surprised me, because we know we made a strong album. But since it was fairly different from the first one, I was a bit like unsure how people were going to react. Yeah.
The album is also short in length, which I was surprised. Did that go into the thought process when you guys were creating this album? Was not just the music, not just the sound, not just the approach, but the overall big picture of what you wanted the record to be?
Yeah, I think the record could be quite different if we added another song. I think the songs that are on the album complement each other really well. And also we have to think about listening to Part 1 first and then go straight into Part 2, because somebody's going to do that as well, since it's a trilogy. And then, with a quiet song, number 2 of Part 2, maybe comes, although it's a lot of information within the first song, Sanguis, we strip it all the way down on the second. And I think that makes even more sense if you have heard the first album first. You would need that break after that. But still, it's a 9-minute opening, a track with a lot of emotions, and maybe just for album 2, it's a good place to calm down a little bit.
Yeah, but that first track is really important because it kind of slingshots you from what the previous record was into this one. Yeah. So it creates a really nice segue. I really like the track listing. The choices in the track listing really bring this album to life. I mean, the songs can exist on their own, but I think you get more out of it when you listen to the record from start to finish. I think there's a different impression that comes out of the record.
Yeah, there is a thought behind it, many thoughts behind the exact songs on the album, and also which comes after the other. And also I think we did something different when it comes to the last track. I think if you listen to Part 1, the last track, it doesn't open up for something else. So that's why we had to continue Part 2 in the same vein as Part 1. But the last track of Part 2 that's opening up for something
for Part 3.
For Part 3, yeah.
Yeah. Was it difficult to embark on a project like this when you know you're not just writing one album? I mean, you're technically writing 3 albums. There's got to be a sense of somewhat sequence between them.
Yeah, we've used 6.5 years on the writing process, from 2018 to 2023. That's 5.5 years. And but we didn't decide which songs were going to be on which album until after all the demos were finished, when we kind of knew the identity of the songs, we knew the lyrics of the songs. So all of that kind of had something to say when we then wanted to compose the 3 albums out of the songs.
So the songs came first, and then from that pool of tracks is where you guys, wow, that's super interesting.
Yeah, and also the songs were created from, as I said, 2020 or 18 all the way through 2023. So you would have different, it's the same stage of our lives, I would say, but still during 5 years, Sten Roger lost his mother and also his father. I lost my father, and some of those emotions are in the albums. I think if we had written all the 3 albums within maybe just a couple of months, if that could have been possible, I don't think it would have been, then you would probably have songs that were more one-dimensional probably. So we also used the time in the period we were composing the songs to allow ourselves to look into different directions and to have a variation of moods, I guess. And you can hear that very well in the second album, I think.
When you look at part 1 and part 2, which one were you more nervous, if you will, when it came time to release the album and the feedback that you would receive?
I would say part 2, and that's because of the enormous reception for part 1. Of course, you don't want to disappoint people, and people have invested time and emotions in part 1, and then you kind of really want them to be on there together with you all the way through. Part 3 is probably gonna divide a little bit of people, I think, because that's we like to challenge ourselves, and by doing that, we challenge the listener as well. Luckily, we're a band with listeners who like to be challenged, most of them at least. So yeah, we're gonna give them a good challenge on album 3. But album 3 is totally necessary for this trilogy to be connected.
So what's your plan in terms of putting it all together? Because you're releasing them individually. This is almost like Star Wars. You get one after the other.
Yeah.
But then, are you gonna after the 3rd album comes out? Are you gonna put something together where all 3 kind of find a single home, if you will?
Yeah, that's the plan. We have been talking about doing a box set. Actually, the CDs are already out in a box set with the first album. We might do that with a vinyl as well, or we might do a triple vinyl with all the 3 albums in it.
Oh, that would be cool.
So we're discussing that with Season of Mist, and they think it's a good idea as well. So probably that's going to happen.
I also enjoyed the artwork because the artwork is also tied in together. There's a lot of similarities. There's a lot of similar traces of what you see in the artwork of part 1 into the artwork of part 2. I'm assuming all of that also went into the thought process when it came to this trilogy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And when asking Niklas Sundin to join us, we asked him to kind of take in the entire project and wanted him to have like an overall thought of what he wanted to do through the 3 releases. He's also done the single covers, of course, and the trilogy box set cover, which is like a dark poem cover for everything. And we've been working with Niklas since the early 2000s. We're the same age. We have some of the same references, I guess, when it comes to art and stuff as well. But knowing his qualities as an artist, we gave him all the demos, all the lyrics, and he listened and read for weeks and weeks, and then he started thinking, probably also along the way, and he came back to us with some ideas that he thought would fit the project. And as always, when working with Niklas, it's even better than you hope for.
Yeah, it turned out, honestly, it turned out amazing. I think you guys did a phenomenal job. Now that you're at part 2, you have part 3 coming out in the future. Would you ever embark on such a, I don't know what to call it, such a gargantuous size project ever again?
I highly doubt it, to be honest.
Was this more than you could chew? Did you bit more than you could chew?
Well, it was just as much as we could chew, it seems like. But we had to use a lot of time on it. I don't think we had any idea how much work we would have to put in it for it to be 100% the capacity of what we're able to do. Because that was what me and Sten Roger agreed in 2018 when we started working with this. We're not going to let anything through without it being 100% of our capacity. And those 5 last percentages from 95 to 100 sometimes take double the time than it does from up to 95%.
95,
so,
yeah.
But we have, I think that's what's going to make us most proud in the future, is that knowing that this is absolutely the best we have in us to be able to make, and we actually did it. And then that's a cool feeling to have.
How are you planning on transporting the trilogy from the studio to a live experience?
Yeah, that's also going to be a lot of work. We're going to do one show in Kristiansand, Norway, our hometown, on the 12th of September, doing all the 3 albums in full in one evening in a big concert hall with guest musicians, and there is going to be more than 100 guest musicians on the next album, actually. So all of those people are going to be on stage in one once-in-a-lifetime evening. So we have to rehearse all of the songs. And then I guess we will, or I know we're going to do like a dark poem live set throughout 26 and also 27, which is going to vary in length, because some festivals you play kind of maybe a 50-minute set. So, but we have enough music for that, and we also have enough music for a headline set, 1.5 hours through the albums. So we're going to also find the songs that suit together and which kind of tells the story we want to tell through a dark poem. So everything we need to compose that set list as well, like we did with the albums.
Yeah, there's going to be work on its own, because
yeah.
you're going to have to figure out exactly what works best with what, and still keep the idea and still keep the message of the 3 records together, because you can't just throw a song from here and a song from there.
No, it has to be carefully thought of, that as well. But I do think, like, we have tried it. We played the entire part 1 at Prog Power US in September last year. That was a world premiere 2 days before the album was released, which was a cool experience. And we also did a Midwinter Prog Festival in Netherlands, where we did the first album plus Sanguis Blood Ties, the first single from part 2. So we're kind of getting a feel already to what works out. I think the songs are quite live friendly, to be honest, but they are complex and there's a lot of layers there, and you just need to work a lot on it for it to have, you know,
the full effect.
Yeah, that's true, because it's not just something you can just play and it's going to sound great. You have to go deep into the songs and all of the instruments. We play with 3 guitarists live, because there is so much sound, so much guitars on the albums. So we have 3 live guitarists actually. So yeah, we have a few hours ahead of us in the rehearsal room. Yeah.
So when you're putting these songs or when you're putting the set list together, especially if you have to do a condensed set list, are you looking at the experiences also that you had already in terms of the audience's responses, or it's more about keeping the flow in the idea of the record together? That's the most important aspect.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, you want the audience to connect with it as well, but I think the audience will connect with it if we kind of manage to get our thoughts into the live set. So yeah, it's going to be no compromises there either.
Yeah, you mentioned something earlier that I thought was really interesting. You like to challenge yourselves as a band, and therefore challenging the listeners. I felt, from a listener standpoint, that this album, at least to me, felt perhaps the least challenging album, the most straightforward record. Did that worry you, that people are going to think that you guys gone completely soft on this album?
I think also it's the most demanding album we've ever, together with maybe like Today, Day of Darkness, that we've released when it comes to the lyrics and stuff. It's a very dark and heavy themed album, also lyrically. So, and even... So I do think, like, when you listen to it first time, if you don't really kind of take in all the lyrics and everything, it can sound kind of easy listening. But I do think that it will make deeper sense, and you'll have the entire idea behind the album when you listen to it maybe a few times more, and then suddenly you hear something in the lyrics that connects to you, for example, or stuff like that. So I do think it might sound a bit easy, but I don't think it is at all. I think it's even much heavier when it comes to lyrical themes and stuff than the first album.
One thing I've experienced with both records is that the mood that I'm in plays a huge role in how I feel towards the songs on any given day. Like, either they enhance my mood in that day, or they help me change the mood that I'm in. They have this morphing aspect to it. It's the same song, same lyrics, but the experience that you have listening to them changes based on your own personal experience at that given time.
Yeah, that's interesting. I hope it's a good thing.
Yeah, it never gets old.
No.
That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, it's also with the songs, you know, these songs, some of the songs have been in my life for 8 years now, within the process of composing, working on the demos, pre-productions, almost 1 year in the studio, and then to wait to release them. Of course, mixing them and mastering them, so they've been in my life. But I do think like there is something with these songs that like strongly talk to me as well as a listener, not only as a composer and a singer. So I'm not like totally sick and tired of the songs yet, which takes a lot actually. So I think that must be a good sign, yeah.
Yeah, and one aspect that for me was really important, especially if you're listening to the albums in sequence, the shortness and the length of this second album, Dark Poem Part 2, really helps that aspect as well. Because you coming from a very draining and demanding experience on the first album, and if you're going to create something that's still very demanding, you want to make sure that demand doesn't really burn the listener down, because you still have the third album coming after. Did you thought about that?
Yeah, we did think about that as well. And you always want people to want more, like. So yeah, it is it 37 minutes or something?
37 minutes. 37, 38, like not more than that.
Something like that, yeah. But also you have to have in mind that this is kind of one piece of art as well, and it will last for, I don't know, 415 minutes or something like that. So, and the length of the albums isn't something that's been like important for us, that this had to be short, but it suits with the songs. It's the perfect songs that are on the album. And also, I think with the themes being quite dark and stuff, I think it's like a good thing that it doesn't last for hours and hours.
Yeah, it doesn't give a chance to burden the listener with it, that's for sure. Well, I want to thank you very much for your time. I know you have a busy schedule. The album, I mean, at the time that we're talking, the album comes out tomorrow, so he's a busy man in high demand, so I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with me about the record. Guys, I'm going to put in the description of this video links for you guys to go check out Part 1 in case you haven't yet. Like I said before, album of the year for me last year. I absolutely love the record. Go check out Part 1, go check out Part 2, and keep your guys' eyes and ears open for Part 3, because that's not that far off. That one is coming as well. And check them out anytime you have a chance live. Amazing, amazing band, all right? Carnation is definitely one to keep on the radar. Thank you.
Thank you.